Flamingzard here, back again once again to Today People Today. I got a deck profile for you guys, and yes, you guessed it, is my ever first Sun Dragon deck profile. Now this deck is kind of like how do I explain it? It's basically kind of like a link attack based, but it can run alone with or without the link attacks for the card combos. I run for this deck is only less of size 3s because it's not that much really needed. Because this deck it can run it without it. And just letting you guys know, this won't be the permanent Buddy Dragon of the Sun Ball Dragon. It's not going to be my permanent one because I'm going to be switching this out for the overturned Sun Dragon Ball Dragon. Because that one is the overturned Impact Monster Searcher to do all that crazy stuff, and I'll be adding more Impact Monsters for this deck. So first, we'll just run it with a Buddy. 4 copies of the Dragon of the Sun Ball Dragon. Only run him because it's just a good card. For the attack, it gets a 5,000 power, gets the instant 10-3. And it has penetrate, so I basically love it for that because of the penetrate. And it can tackle over any size monsters that have like almost a bit of a defense than it would seem. So next I'll run 2 copies of Super Sun Dragon Ball Soleil. I only run 2 of these because this is what I got, and it's kind of good. If this card has a soul, the damage I take is reduced by 1, and this card gets a +1, so it will be a 7/3/7. And the counter to choose a monster on the opponent's center, pay the gauge, and destroy it. Double attack and soul guard, so that's the instant of the 6 damage. 6 crit damage to your opponent to do all the crazy stuff you really want to do with this deck. Next up, it'll run for the final size 3, 1 copy of the Ideal Invincible Dragon Ball Dragon. I only run 1 of him because, again, I only have 1 of it. Top card deck into the soul, they're paying 2 gauge. And when this card link attacks when another Sun Dragon, top card into the gauge and gain 1 life. And for this turn, it gets a double attack. So it can really help itself out. And it's an instant of a 2-3. In an instant of a 10-5 that it can help out to tackle even a higher bit monsters for that only do like about, I would say about on their defense being like at least 2,500 or 15,000 defense. And you next to have 1 copy of one style of Impact Ball Dragon. And this card is really good because if I don't have like the Dragon Force item equipped or all that, this helps out a bit on its own. Because with the Ball Dragon Force, enters the field, choose 1 of the following 2 effects, can be activated once per turn. Top 3 cards of the deck go into the gauge, so it makes it easier for the impact monster calls. Makes it a bit easier, and put the Sun Dragon from my hand into the deck. So I can use this to just even search out the... Yeah, I can use this I'm sorry, my apologies, I forgot my choice of words. Anywho, yeah, just to have the more Dragon Force or impact monster that it can search out and call and equip the Dragon Force and do all that. Next up, I run 1 copy of Demon Lord and Sun Bot Symbol Dragon. Definitely run only 1 of him because of the paying 2 gauge attacks, opponent no monster in the center, top card into the gauge, and double attack. And it's an instant 6/5. So that just helps out just for that. And yes, this deck has a little bit of like a lower attack range I guess you can say. But when it has its own link attack effects, it pays it off a bit more than the stats themselves. So this one I just only run one because it's really not that needed. Next up, I run one copy of the Instant Sun Deity Ball Dragon. Yeah, I just run him because it's basically a good card, which I might think of maybe getting more copies of, because it just enters the field just to put 2 Sun Dragons from the drop zone to the bottom of the deck in any order. My life it would become 6 and put up to 1 Sun Dragon item or impact from the deck to the hand and shuffle. It has its Penetrate and Soul Guard for a 7/2/3. Definitely love this card because of the item and Impact Searcher if I wanted to. Which, yes, my life would become 6, which would activate automatically the Dragon Force that I run with this. So you'll find out from that. And then one for size 2, finally, one copy of Shining Sun Dragon Ball Dragon. Only run one of them because Dex gets a 5,000 power. And at the beginning of the final phase, top card of the deck goes into the gauge. Yeah, just for that final phase is reason why I run him. Not because of it being in the 8/2/3. Yeah, just for the attack, because it's not like that important or that good, I guess you can say. But I only won one of them just in case for that. Now for size 1s, one copy of Loyal Dragon, Flare Fane Dragon. Only run one of them because it's what I got, and this one I just only run one because I barely use my size 3 Sun Dragons, so this one just gets barely called out at occasion, but when it does, if I have another original size 3 Sun Dragon on the field, this card's size is reduced by 1, so it becomes the size 0. When the size 2 or greater monster enters the field, top card of the deck into the gauge, and draw. And this effect can be activated once in the main phase and once in the final phase. So this one can really just do easily that good, because I normally do call it at occasion. On top of like a Flare Fang Dragon just to do that stuff. And speaking of which, I run 4 copies of Flare Fang Dragon. Yeah, speaking of him, only run 4 of him because it's a really good one. Enters the field, another Sun Dragon on the field, charge, and then draw. Just for that extra charge and draws, and it can only be activated once per turn. So I'm not sure I'm not sure if you can call one and then use that effect and then call another on top during the same turn for that. I'm not sure. Comment below if that is possible or not. Next, I run 2 copies of Merablade Esama. Yeah, this one is just good because if I have like the other Sun Dragons that are not Ball Dragons that don't have, Sun Dragons or Ball Dragons that don't have like double attack, I just use him just to link attack, and the second one on the side gets that double attack. And it's a once per turn, so it can do that just for that occasion. Next, 1 copy of Explosive Bullet Dragon Ultra Bomb. Only run one of him because it's kind of like a weaker link attack one. Well, not too weak, but you get what I mean. For this one, just to enter the link attacks with another Sun Dragon, pay a gauge, and destroy a monster on the opponent's center. Because this deck is just kind of runs around and just destroying opponent's monsters in the center, just to deal that quick damage. Finally, for size 1s, 1 copy of Sky Runner Dragon. Link attacks with a Sun Dragon, restand it, and for the turn it gets double attack. and I only run one of them because of that effect alone. And it's kind of like a weaker one, so it's not like... I deeply apologize about that. I don't know why that even happened. That is so stupid of me. Oh well. Anywho, for size zeros, I run 4 copies of Ball Soleil Imagine. Definitely run 4 of them because it just at the end of battle that this card attacks into a soul of a Sun Dragon. And then when that Sun Dragon attacks at each battle, top card of the deck into the gauge. So I run 4 of them because I want to get this as like quick as possible. That way I could just call him to the center, have it like an item, have the like an item, a monster left and a right, get that full formation, then use him, then attack, put him in the soul of a Sun Dragon that really has Soul Guard or needs one, and it could do all that shenanigans. And lastly, for size zeros, Flame Dragon Jr. This card is just good because I guess it can only be activated for its effect when it's on the field. An item on the field can attack even a monster, even if the opponent's monster in the center. So it has like its own. So your Sun Dragon item can instantly have that shadow, kind of like a shadow dive ability, and then at the battle, that one or more items on your field attack. You put this card from the field into the drop zone, which this deck doesn't run all around that. It only runs one item at a time, and it just instantly destroys the other item and such. Now, onto the spells, which I find them very interesting for these options. 2 copies of Sun Deity's Buddy. I only run of him because 2 of them just top 2 into the gauge, monster with Ball Soleil, gain 2 life, and draw. Just that additional charge and draw. Double charge and then draw. Next, I run 1 copy of this card for now, but I am definitely thinking of adding more copies of this because of how really good this card is. I run 1 copy of Bestest Ball. Definitely love it. Top 2 into the deck in the gauge. Call an impact monster from your hand by paying its call cost. If you do, draw 2 cards. And you can activate this during your final phase. So, helps out with the gauge build before even summoning the impact monster. If you don't have any gauge to do it, and you have that card in your hand, it's basically good for that. 2 copies of Sun Furnace type Solar Battery Type 1. Run 2 of it because when the Sun Dragon enters the field, top card in the deck into the gauge. So this deck is kind of like just to add more charge gauge draws. Just to have all that craziness. Next up, we run 1 copy of Dragon Force Liberation. Just to gain that life, and then Dragon Force item equipped, call up the 1 Sun Dragon from the drop zone by paying its call cost. So I can call a Sun Dragon to recycle the effect if I use it for Flare Fang Dragon and such. I can just recycle. If I have one in a drop zone, I can use that and then Dragon Force equipped, have that Dragon Force equipped, and do all that. Next up, 2 copies of Piece of Race. It's just only good because I ran out of options for it. Just stands a Sun Dragon on the field. Then if the opponent has no monsters in the center, deal 1 damage. Just to deal. I only run 2 of that because just for that damage. Eventually that card is going to be taken out. Now for the defense spells for this deck, because it's kind of interesting for the options. 4 copies of Sun Dragon Shield. Definitely run this because it's really good just to have the nullify the attack. Then top card into the gauge and gain 1 life. 2 or more, this card cannot be nullified, so it can easily do all that. Next up, 2 copies of Super Sun Dragon Shield. Just to run, I only use this one if I'm in a dire situation, if my life is at low, then I use this straight away. But let's say but my main reason for using this is if I have the Super Sun Deity Dragon Ball Soleil, then I just use the Sun Dragon Shield and it kicks in all 3 of the effects for it. For example, in this, Sun Dragon, draw a card, Neo Dragon, top card into the gauge, Black Dragon, gain a life, and the Ball Soleil is is basically all 3 for Star Dragon World, and Darkness Dragon World. So I run 2 of that for that situation, for that specific card only. I used to have another dragon that was like triple world for that, but he's only like a sided, so I'm still debating on. Finally, 1 copy of Shining Wall. Just to run this during the turn, damage I would take is reduced by 1. There's nothing else I can say about that. Now, for the items, which this deck runs 2 each of, and it's basically good for it. 2 copies of Dragon Force, which I'll probably have more copies of. 2 Sunfist Ball Guard, and 2 Sunfist Ball Knuckle. Definitely run that, because Ball Knuckle, it just increases the crit. Ball Guard, it protects the Sun Dragons, and then Dragon Force is just to increase that attack. Just to increase that number of attacks to do all that crazy shenanigans that I want to do. Finally, lastly, for the impact monsters, I only run 4 in this deck, but I'm going to be adding more when I get that Sun Dragon Impact Searcher. So I run 1 copy of Ball Dragon, Ball Force Regression. Definitely a worthy card I would run 4 of straight away, because this one is just the instant on top during the final phase, paying 2 to gauge, and just to search out a Dragon Force from your deck and then equip it straight away. So I have a combo with that impact monster alone. If you don't have a Dragon Force, which I will probably do an explaining for that video. Next up, 2 copies of Ball Dragon Ball Burst Smasher. Definitely run it because of its 4 crit, and attack cannot be nullified if it's attacking alone. Finally, 1 copy of Ball Dragon Great Full Ball Retreat. Definitely love it. And I usually use this if I have like so many Sun Dragons in the drop zone. I can just spam this at each turn of attacks, and I can even use this for the double attack effect of whenever it attacks. Just to return up to 3 Sun Dragons from your drop zone to the bottom of your deck in any order. And if you do destroy that many of your opponent's cards, your opponent takes damage equal to the number. And then plus additional 3 crit just for that attack. Now, I'll do this strategy just for you guys. So, let's say that I have... Let's see, for this deck combo strategy I have Ball Soleil Imagine to the center. Having the Buddy to the right, and having not Flare Fang. Yeah, let's do with the Marabladed Sama. And let's say you have the impact monster in the hand. So basically for this, you just attack with the boss OA Imagine, using his effect to add him to the soul, to your buddy. Then link attack, using the Mirror Blade Asama's effect to restand the double attack. The attack of the boss OA Imagine's effect from the soul will kick in. Gauge will charge. Attack again. Gauge. Final phase. Call this on top. And then using his effect, using that impact monster's effect, instantly have Dragon Force out. Link attack. Each time it attacks, you gain 3 life as well. So, attacks. This stays out. This Dragon Force's effect to restand and then attack it additionally during the final phase. Because each time you link attack, it restands. So that's basically it for the video. And that's basically it for this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed this much as I did it, because this deck is really good in my opinion. That it's good just without the size 3s. Size 3 dragon builds. That most people would build this deck around. But I just run it a bit differently than most would. So I do apologize for that. Anywho, hope you guys enjoyed this video. And comment below on your guys' opinion on which kind of cards that I should add to this deck. Which card I want to choose that I should use for this deck. Which card, any deck profile ideas that you guys want me to build and such. Comment below, because I'm running out of ideas. I'm sorry to say, but I'm running out of ideas. And I really do not want to use the last resort option. And I hate when I do that. Apologize again. Anywho, thank you guys for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Flamingzard here. I'm out.